You sent us a research paper
Yeah.
about AI that can understand pictures
Right.
and text.
It's pretty wild.
It's called NVLM, which stands for NVIDIA Vision Language Model.
Okay.
So let's just dive in and see what this NVLM is all about.
I think one of the coolest things about this is that it's open source.
Oh, wow.
So that means anyone can use it
That's amazing.
and build upon it.
Okay.
Which is a big deal because it means we're not just talking about a few big companies controlling this really powerful tech anymore.
Right.
This has implications for faster research progress, more innovation, potentially even like whole new applications that we haven't even thought of yet.
So you've also sent us excerpts from the actual research paper,
Right.
which I have to admit is pretty hardcore stuff.
Oh, yeah. But
It's dense.
don't worry, we're here to break it down for you.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what is so fascinating about this paper? Well, the paper is super fascinating because it introduces not one, but 3 different versions of NVLM.
Oh, go.
They're calling this NVLM 1.0.
Okay.
And it's essentially like they're testing out different approaches to building what we call multimodal AI.
Multimodal AI.
Multimodal AI.
What is that?
Yeah, so that basically just means that the AI can handle different types of information at the same time.
Yeah.
Like text images,
Listen
even
up.
sounds.
Okay.
So with NVLM, they've created NVLMD,
Okay.
a decoder-only model, NVLMX,
Got it.
a cross-attention model,
Okay.
and then NVLMH, which is a hybrid
Okay.
that combines the best of both.
So it's like an AI competition
Yeah.
to see which approach works best.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay.
And they're very transparent in the paper about the strengths and weaknesses of each approach.
Yeah, makes sense.
So for example, NVLMX is super efficient at processing high-resolution images.
Okay.
So you can imagine how useful that would be for tasks that require understanding a lot of visual detail.
Right, that makes sense. What about the other versions?
So NVLMD seems to be particularly good at something called OCR,
OCR.
or optical character recognition.
Okay.
Basically teaching the AI to read text from images.
Wait, so it can actually read text
Yeah.
within an image?
Really cool, huh?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Think about all the information that's out there, and documents, infographics, even memes.
Exactly. And it scored incredibly well
Oh, wow.
on tests like ChartQA and DocVQA,
Yeah.
which assess how well an AI understands charts and documents.
Wow.
Clearly, NVLMD can handle complex visual layouts.
Okay, so imagine NVLM just like instantly extracting information
Right.
from like any document,
Yeah.
no matter how messy or crazy it is.
Exactly.
It's a game changer.
That's incredible.
For sure.
I'm starting to see why this is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
The paper also mentions something called dynamic tiling. And honestly, it sounds a bit like a home renovation project to me.
Well, it's less messy, I can promise you that.
Okay.
Essentially, dynamic tiling is a technique for handling those high-resolution images we were just talking about.
Got it.
So instead of forcing the AI to understand a giant image all at once, they break it down into smaller, more manageable tiles.
So like breaking a giant puzzle into smaller sections.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
They add these little text tags to each tile, like tile 1 before the data for that section.
Okay.
And those tags act like labels on your puzzle pieces,
Oh, I see.
helping the AI understand how each piece fits into the overall image.
So it's not just about seeing the individual tiles,
Right.
but also understanding
Like a relationship
how they all relate to each other.
between them.
Yeah, that's crucial for understanding
Yeah.
things like the message in a meme.
Yeah.
Or analyzing a complex diagram.
Absolutely.
All right.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, this means that NVLM could be really good at things that go beyond just recognizing objects in an image.
Okay.
Think about understanding infographics, technical diagrams,
Right.
even those complex flowcharts that people use in presentations.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these different NVLM models.
Right.
This dynamic tiling thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm really curious about how they actually trained this AI.
Yeah.
The paper mentions that they were very particular about the data that they used.
Yeah. Data is like food for AI, right?
Okay.
It's how these models learn.
Yeah.
And what's impressive here is that the NVLM team didn't just grab like the biggest data set they could find. They really focused on quality and diversity, which is partly why NVLM doesn't forget how to do text stuff.
Oh, interesting.
After it learns to see.
So unlike some other AIs that might trade off their text skills for visual skills,
it's a common problem.
NVLM can handle both effectively.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And in fact, the paper even shows that NVLM is actually better at pure text tasks than the original language model it's based on.
Wow. Okay.
They tested this using MMLU, which is a really challenging test of multidisciplinary knowledge.
So it's like learning to see also made it a better reader and thinker.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that really makes NVLM stand out from a lot of the other open source models out there.
Right.
They seem to have figured out how to keep that strong text performance.
Okay.
Even after teaching the AI to understand images.
Got it.
That's what we call production-grade multimodality.
Okay, so we've covered the different NVLM models, the clever dynamic tiling technique, and the importance of good data.
Right.
Now, the big question, how does NVLM stack up?
Yeah, how does it compare?
Against the big names in AI.
Yeah, like, say, GPT-4.
That's the question everyone's asking.
Right.
Bring on the competition, right?
Yeah.
So the researchers actually compared NVLM to a whole bunch of leading AIs, both proprietary and open source. We'll see how it did against the mysterious InternViT, the Lydie GPT-4.
Oh.
Even some models that haven't even been released to the public yet.
Wow, this is getting really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see what the benchmarks reveal.
Let's get into it. All right, so let's look at these benchmarks and see how NVLM actually stacks up against the competition.
Okay.
We'll start with MMLU.
MMLU.
Which stands for Massive Multitask Language Understanding.
Okay, I have to admit that sounds pretty intimidating.
It is a tough test.
Okay.
Think of it as like a giant exam that covers a whole bunch of different college-level subjects.
Okay.
And it's designed to see if an AI can truly understand and reason across all these different areas of knowledge.
So like an AI SAT exam.
Exactly.
Got it.
And NVLM did remarkably well on this one. Oh, wow. What's really impressive is that it held its own against even proprietary models.
Okay.
Which is a big deal for an open source project.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Yeah.
So it can reason like a college student.
Yeah.
What else can it do?
Well, they also tested it on something called MathVista.
MathVista.
Which focuses specifically on math problems. Presented in visual context.
Okay.
So this means understanding charts, diagrams, even like using logic to solve equations.
Now this is where I start to sweat.
Right.
How did NVLM handle that?
It actually did really well.
Oh, wow.
On MathVista, NVLM outperformed some really big names, even some that aren't open source.
Wow.
This suggests that its ability to process images directly within the language model gives it a real advantage in understanding like the overall context of a problem.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about crunching numbers. It's about understanding what the problem is actually asking.
It's about reasoning.
Yeah.
It's about logic. Okay, so it can reason. It can do math.
Yeah.
What about tasks that are more about recognizing and understanding what's in an image?
Right.
Like identifying objects.
So for that, we look at the VQA V2 benchmark.
Okay.
Which is kind of a classic test for visual understanding.
Okay.
It challenges the AI to answer these open-ended questions about images. And NVLM really shined here.
Oh, wow.
It actually scored at the top of the leaderboard.
Wow.
Beating out even some of the most advanced AIs in the world.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So NVLM is not only a brainy thinker, it's also a sharp-eyed observer.
It is.
I guess all that carefully curated training data really paid off.
Absolutely. Remember, they included a lot of data sets that focused on describing images with text.
Yeah.
And that likely really helped NVLM develop a strong understanding of the visual world.
Okay, so far we've seen that NVLM can reason, it can do math, it can understand what's in an image. What other challenges do they throw at it?
Well, they also wanted to see how well it could understand diagrams.
Okay.
So they used something called AI2D, which focuses on these more technical visuals, like scientific diagrams and schematics.
So we're not just talking about pictures of cats
anymore.
But like understanding how a machine works.
Exactly.
Based on a diagram.
Based on a diagram.
Got it.
And what's remarkable is that NVLM did surprisingly well on this too.
Really?
It was even able to match the performance of some very advanced AIs on this particular benchmark.
Wow.
This shows that it's not just memorizing patterns, it's actually starting to grasp the underlying concepts and logic behind these diagrams.
This is getting more and more impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I could see how this could be incredibly useful for researchers, engineers.
Oh, yeah?
Really anyone who works with complex diagrams.
Absolutely.
What's really fascinating to me is that we haven't even talked about its OCR skills yet.
Ah, yes. The ability to read text within images.
Right.
That's another NVLM superpower that we need to discuss, and we'll dive into that in our next segment. So we've seen that NVLM can solve math problems, and it can understand images, even complex diagrams. But what about its ability to read text within those images?
Right. We touched on that OCR thing earlier, but I'm really curious to see how well it actually performs on that front.
Yeah. So to test its OCR abilities, the researchers use something called OCR Bench.
OCR Bench.
It's a benchmark that's designed to really push those OCR skills to the limit.
Okay.
We're talking about recognizing text in cluttered scenes, answering questions that require understanding text within images, all sorts of really challenging scenarios.
So it's not just about recognizing letters.
Right.
It's also about understanding how that text relates to the overall meaning of the image.
Exactly. And on OCR Bench, NVLMD absolutely crushed it.
Real.
It achieved the highest score among all the models they tested.
Wow.
Even beating out some very sophisticated proprietary AIs.
That's incredible.
This really demonstrates NVLMD's mastery of OCR.
So it's almost like NVLM can see and read with the same fluency.
It really is remarkable.
I can only imagine the possibilities this opens up.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right? Think about helping visually impaired people navigate the world, or automating data extraction from documents. You could even use it to create new forms of interactive storytelling that blend words and pictures seamlessly.
It's amazing to think about how this technology could be used.
It is.
It sounds like NVLM is truly pushing the boundaries of what AI can do.
I think it really is. This paper gives us a glimpse into a future where AI can interact with the world through both words and pictures.
Yeah.
NVLM is a testament to the power of open source research, and I think a reminder that sometimes the most exciting breakthroughs come from these unexpected places.
Absolutely. It's been a fascinating deep dive into the world of NVLM. I can't wait to see what they come up with next. And to all of you listening, keep exploring, keep learning, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to unlock the next big AI breakthrough. That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.